Toprak, Locatelli, Van der Mark and Xavi Vierge all out together, and then it looked like maybe Yuri Montella at the back end of that group as well. So for these riders, they know that Toprak's going to be pushing as hard as he can to try and get that pole time. Locatelli needs to just stick right in that rear wheel.
Yes, former teammates, of course, on the Yamaha. Andrea Locatelli stayed on. Toprak Razgatlioglu moved to BMW, where Jonathan Rea then came in to replace Toprak on the Yamaha. It's been his final season now in WorldSBK as a full-time rider at very least. There are continued words that he might stay within competition, and we may even have an opportunity to see him again as a wild card. But we're ticking off circuits on the calendar that Rea's visiting for the final time. He is the joint record holder for race victories here in Motorland, Eric.
Yeah, it's not going to help Rea being behind Domi Aguilar on your final fast lap as well. You're trying to find the right draft partner. You're trying to find the person to work with. Domi's 9th fastest, Rea's 6th fastest. They needed to find someone else. That's where for Ian One and for Danilo Petrucci, they've backed the right horse here.
Yeah, great chance to follow Nicolo Bulega. In fact, Andrea Iannone pushing for position, coming out of the pit lane, trying to get in front of Petrucci and latch onto the tail of Nicolo Bulega. And Andrea Iannone, we know the potential is there for both of these riders, Iannone and Petrucci, but down on the 4th row of the grid as things stand, both of them will be looking for a much better second stint.
Yeah, it was on the outlap in the first stint that Iannone got dropped by the other riders around them, so he needs to do a better job on this one to be able to stick with Bulega and give yourself that chance to move up the grid.
Toprak Razgatlioglu about to embark on his first flying lap. Andrea Locatelli tucked in right with him. They've dropped the rest of that group. Michael van der Mark and the likes of Xavi Vierge behind them as they come onto the start-finish straight then. And it is Toprak Razgatlioglu who's generally been the man to beat. As I said, hasn't been beaten in a Superpole session since Misano, and that is the only time he's been beaten in the last 5 rounds.
It looked like maybe a small mistake there from Locke on the run in towards turn 1. That's going to compromise Van der Mark's opening lap of this stint as well and just leave Toprak in clear air. He just went in a bit deep into turn 1.
Let's see what Toprak Razgatlioglu's first sector time is like here. 3.5 minutes remaining in Superpole.
When you're following Toprak, it's easy for that to happen as well. Toprak kind of lulls you into the corner, and for Locke, he just got caught out by that. So he needs to regroup, make sure he's able to get a second lap in.
Yeah, it will be the second lap. Locatelli 0.6 of a second down after sector 1. Van der Mark
Toprak up
2 seconds. Well, Toprak was up after sector 1, but he's given up on this one. He's got to be careful that he doesn't ride slowly on the racing line here and accrue himself a penalty, because Xavi Vierge is still trying to push on for a lap. He was only a 10th down after the first sector.
I think Xavi's going to be happier in this situation as well, though. But for Toprak, didn't see what the issue was for him there, why he sat up, but Van der Mark's gone missing there as well from that group.
Yeah, Van der Mark had dropped 2 seconds in the opening sector, and we just see him there. Further back down the order, Alvaro Bautista launching his first flying lap. He's 10th position in this session at the moment, dropped 0.2 of a second in the opening sector. 3rd on the grid, remember, here in the 2024 Aragon round. That is the last time he made the front row in WorldSBK. He's had 3 second row starts in the first 4 rounds of this season, and in the 5 rounds since, he's averaged just 10th on the grid, and that's where he sits at present. Really important for Alvaro Bautista to bring himself in the mix, because here at Motorland Aragon in particular, you rather feel that Bautista has a better chance at this venue of some big points than he has had at some of the recent circuits we've visited. Bautista will be the first of the big guns then to reach the line and try and make an improvement on the first flying lap of his second and final stint. Less than 2 minutes remaining here in Superpole. Bautista crosses the line for P5, up ahead of Axel Bassani. Jonathan Rea relegated onto the 3rd row of the grid then with Alex Lowe's and Michael van der Mark. Halfway mark on this latest lap, and we've got several riders lighting up the timing tower. Nicolo Bulega is up by almost 2/10. Sam Lowe's is up by 2/10. 1.5 tenths up for Alex Lowe. Up as well for Danilo Petrucci by a 10th.
Yeah, Petrucci's got Bulega in front of him. For Alex Lowe's, he's behind Sam Lowe. So we've got 2 groups just coming down the back straight now to give themselves the chance to improve their lap times. This is Jonathan Rea we see here now. The lap time's gone away from Rea. He was fastest in the first sector. He's down by 1.5 seconds now as he comes across the line. But it's the group behind that that's got the Lowe's brothers, and then you've got Petrucci and Bulega as well.
Jonathan Rea, an average P10 on the grid last season, average P12 on the grid this season. He's 7th at the moment. Sam Lowe's crosses the line for a new fastest lap of 1 minute 47.491, and then he's beaten by Alex Lowe's, a 1 And then Nicolo Bulega crosses the line to further improve his provisional pole time. That's half a second quicker than he went for pole position a year ago. Toprak Razgatlioglu with a real stretch target now just to make it onto the front row of the grid.
Now we really need to be able to see what Toprak's doing. He's up by 0.02 of a second at the halfway point of the lap. This is Bulega just in the first sector, but Razgatlioglu up by 1/10 of a second heading down the back straight.
Toprak Razgatlioglu 1.5 of a second up after 3 completed sectors. It is once again a head-to-head between Nicolo Bulega and Toprak Razgatlioglu, the top 2 in your World Championship standings. We catch up now with Toprak just making his way through the final turn with just over 10 seconds remaining. 1 minute 47.332 from Nicolo Bulega, the time to beat. Toprak can't get there, 1/10 of a second down. It's good enough to maintain his unbroken run of front row starts in 2025, but it's not good enough for pole. There is a chance for one more lap if Toprak Razgatlioglu can save enough tyre. The checkered flag has now fallen. This will be his last.
You can get 3 laps on the tyre. It's just tough to do that. We saw obviously Toprak, he sat up for most of his first lap, so maybe he's been able to save something. Bulega halfway through his lap up by 0.5 of a second, but for Razgatlioglu, we'll get our first indication now that he's down by 0.2 of a second. The lap time's gone for Toprak.
Stunning pace though up at the front. Alvaro Bautista just crossing the line to take the checkered flag. 1 minute 47.800 for him, so it's a place on the second row of the grid for Alvaro Bautista, and for Bautista that will be his best Superpole performance since the Italian round at Cremona, round 4 of this, the 10th, remember, of the 12 in 2025. So sharper for Bautista, maybe not quite as good as he would have been hoping for, as Nicolo Bulega comes across the line. Another 1 minute 47.3 for Bulega, so another time faster than Toprak's fastest in this session.
Yeah, great effort in the Superpole session. Obviously when we get into the race, it's going to be interesting to see what Bulega can do up against Razgatlioglu, but this is a place where Nico had the lap record last year, but you're 0.5 second faster than it this year. Really is impressive from Bulega. And so many other riders going underneath what had been the lap record, all the way back to Iannone in 7th. So it is, it's really impressive to see that pace.
Yes, Iannone gets down to the pace that he suggested he would have when we saw him in free practice 3 this morning. And yet it's still not good enough for even a place on the second row of the grid.
We didn't get to see too much of it, but Iannone was behind Petrucci, who was behind Bulega, so they were working together in tandem for that. Then the group in front of them was Lowe's and Remy Gardner. Gardner's able to come in with the top 10, just narrowly missing out on being the top Yamaha on the grid by a couple of 10ths of a second. Good effort from Ray because he did that on his own.
Yes, and we saw Andrea Locatelli 4th on the timesheets yesterday, but Jonathan Ray in free practice was nowhere. He's found something extra in Superpole, and so many times we've said that's the one thing that's been wanting during his Yamaha career. He's got a decent place on the 3rd row of the grid.
Yeah, it gives him an opportunity, and we know that down into turn 1, chances are Ray's going to be inside the top 6, going through turn 1 and try and make some moves up the hill towards turn 5. He'll view it that there's a good opportunity to be a bit of a cat amongst the pigeons.
But it is Nicolo Bulega on pole for the first time since Misano. And we know how much Ducati enjoy and favour this circuit. But still, to go toe-to-toe with Razgatlioglu, to end his run of 3 consecutive poles and to smash the lap record by over 0.5 second. Job well done this morning for Nicolo Bulega.
Yeah, he's done exactly what he has to do, and obviously we're coming to this round where last year he had that technical problem in race 1. He came through 2 podiums in the Sunday races, but there's a bit of unfinished business for him here at Aragon as well.
Toprak Razgatlioglu looking for his first victory here in Motorland. 2nd place on the grid is far from disastrous. As I said, extends his unbroken run of front row starts in this 2025 campaign. It's 12 in a row, in fact, now front row efforts after qualifying for Toprak Razgatlioglu. And completing your front row of the grid, Alex Lowe's. And I think if you'd offered that to Alex at the start of this session, he would have accepted that quite willingly, to be behind only Bulega and Razgatlioglu. Obviously working together with Sam Lowe's as well, and we know the speed that both of them have traditionally in Superpole sessions. But Alex Lowe's on the Bimotor here in Aragon in particular, that's a really good effort for P3.